Something that bugs me quite a lot is, you could call it the Christian perspective, which, as much as I've got nothing against Christianity at all, even though obviously if only the people who follow that religion would understand that they're following an occult religion at the same time. So they tend to accuse a lot of people of being Luciferian, satanic, or devil worshippers, and sort of mixing things up instead of talking about magic or sorcery. And one of those areas is the Theosophical Society and Madame Blavatsky. So I know you've mentioned this before, Michael. What's your take on this situation?
Well, I think they're largely right. The point, first thing is most of my mentors were Christian authors. Mm-hmm. I've listed them many, many times. And to all intents and purposes, if you take away the fanaticism and some just crazy research, they're not altogether wrong. Because basically, there's only a few people like myself are only trying to make a few basic points. The broadest point to make is that evil was on this planet long before Jesus was ever heard of or Christians were ever heard of. So Christians need to sit down one day and light a candle to all those occultists, those white magicians.
Yeah.
That, look, if Professor Tolkien could salute them in his work, which he's basically doing, if Professor C.S. Lewis could do it, and these are giants in the Christian world, and many others I could mention have done it, what then is the churchgoer got a problem? Accept it. Evil is not dating from, 0 AD. Sorry, it's not. It's been on this planet from the time of Atlantis. The ancient legends will tell you all about it. So whether you like it or not, it was pre-Christians who were fighting the good fight. So the broader point is, you have one important tent, a very important arsenal in the fight against universal evil. Stop bickering, fighting, and having pillow fights with the other encampments, because that is exactly what universal evil thrives on. If you haven't got that understood by now, then there's no helping you. And what you'll do is that's why universal evil is flourishing. Because all they want you to do is be clubbing each other over the head, where you should actually be all facing the main enemy. That's the first point. And the second one is that it's semantics. The Christian has to understand, as you said, that there is endless references of paganism. That's what my book Astrotheology goes into. That's what my Astrotheology website goes into. The pagan elements. Lots of oak trees, lots of fig trees, lots of terebinth trees, lots of goddesses, lots of wells in the Bible, right? Lots of mounts of olives and all the rest of it. Lots of references to the stars and the sun and crowns of thorns and all the rest of it. Where does that all come from? And then again, coming more to the point, find out, what does the word Lucifer mean? Is it the same thing as Satan? No, it's not. And even when it was considered the same, you have umpteen different groups that were proto-Christian. Ebionites, Galileans, Nazarenes, Mandaeans, even the Stoics, the proto-Stoics. A lot of traditions come along, even in the official, the strictly Judaic. All of these traditions, including many Gnostic ones that Christians would rather not know about, and if you go into them, then you're into many dozens of cults and groups.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, just wanted a sip of the coffee there. But once you amalgamize all of them together, you have to also realize that all of these groups had a different slant on what it meant to be what Satan was and what the tempter was. So that means research. So biblical scholars know the languages of the ancient world. The average Christian in the street doesn't. He doesn't know the difference. He doesn't even know that the word Lucifer once upon a time applied to a planet. And there's a cosmology tie-in. My God, that opens a lot of doors. Why did Satan fall from heaven? Have they ever even asked the question of what that's all about? Why did he not fall when he fell? He fell with 200. Why not 2,000? What's the difference? How does Abraham notice that these men who've come to his door are angels? We got questions here, and it's not the right of Christians to, like dogs with a territory, pissing on it and saying, that's only mine. Every thinking human being can approach any archive of knowledge to discover what the secrets and the truths are there, to decode the names, to find out what these terms mean. Why do the Theosophical Society, which I do believe became undermined and became a sinister organization, I have no problem with that. They were co-opted or let's just say more correctly, that their entire membership was made up of Fabians. And Fabians have a political agenda. Madame Blavatsky did not. That's a very important point. So stop throwing muck at the person whose works are filled with the fact that when you're doing the holy work, it has got nothing to do with politics, which is absolutely evil. It's based on imperialism, ancient imperialism. And if you want to know who the founder of imperialism was, just read Deuteronomy, read Exodus, and read Genesis, and it's Lord Yahweh himself. Abraham, I got a plan. Come over here and wipe out all of these people. And then when you discover that these umpteen different tribes that lived in the land of Canaan and Palestine, when Yahweh was saying, okay, we're going to butcher these guys, if you actually read deeply, you'll find out that they were actually connected to Abraham's family. They weren't foreigners or strangers. They're from a matrilinear point of view. They were linked to as the Bible would say, see the Noahs and the Seths and the Ishmaels and the Cain and Abels. These same descendants are the same descendants from which the matrilinear side of Abraham comes. So he's going out there and slaughtering his own people to build a covenant with Yahweh. That's imperialism. There's Jehovah. Tell me, you're talking to me about Lucifer's? I can take you right to his doorstep.
Sounds more like a mafia power struggle, doesn't it, rather than...
Yeah, but this is the double standards.
Yeah.
They want to point to horned devils and all this other malarkey, and look what women have had to endure by being suppressed as the bringers of all sorts of temptation to man. And yet we got to wonder what on earth is going on over here with this other stuff that's going on, the slaughters in the name of covenants. You see, and you do your homework and you find these things. So all I'm asking Christians to do is to study this fact as a biblical scholar will do, and it has nothing to do with your faith in the Almighty Creator. But you are dealing with an institution. Now, of course, this is actually tacitly accepted, because that's why they'll say we have Protestantism. Protestants will always go, yes, that's Vatican Christianity. Michael, what you say, oh, we understand that that's a false religion. But I'm going, no. The institution doesn't stop with Vatican. And by the way, there's even proof to show that the Vatican created what we know to be Protestantism, but that's a separate question. But even Protestants are not off the hook. Because as I say in the very first paragraph of the Astrotheology book, the very first paragraph, if you take away the pagan elements from Christianity, regardless of whether it's Lutheran, Protestantism, Methodist, or Catholic, you got nothing left. Protestants need to accept that as well. And it has nothing to do with their faith in the Almighty Creator. It has to do with the fact of their mind control from an institution that uses the same occult teachings that average street Christians think is unimportant, that Madame Blavatsky tried to hand to the people of the world, like Rudolf Steiner tried to teach the kids, like I do. He tried to empower the ordinary layman with these same things, these same powers that these criminals, these arch criminals who've murdered their way through the centuries are using. There are a reason for the tyranny that we see in this world, and it's the misuse of occult knowledge. Occult knowledge is not evil, but it's being used by demonic, evil, psychopathic, possessed, evil people. They're your enemy, and they're right in your midst. Christ himself said, at my table is the Judas, is at St. Peter's the doubting Thomases, the Peters who'll deny my existence, right? The Judases who'll sell me for nothing. You think that's just metaphor? Right within these very movements, the entire Protestant movement of America has been taken over by the Jesuits. There's a couple, but from South America to North America. And this was revealed not by me, but from Jesuit insiders who blew the whistle, who left the order and said, listen folks, we've got to tell you that the entire Protestant movement of North and South America has been taken over methodically by the Jesuits. They own America. They own all those evangelists that in front of you with their big Joel Osteen smiles and their big Jimmy Swaggart palava. Right? And this other creature that dropped dead, what's his name? This Pat Robertson and this other cretin. These 33rd degree Masons controlled by Jesuitism, the symbolism is all there, leading you down into a false Christianity. Christianity, clean your own house. You've got the Lucifers inside. You don't even worry about what Michael Tsarion is doing. He's got, his little cart he's pushing over here. Go into your own places, right? And turn over the money lenders. Get with it.
Exactly. We're big on that here. We fiat currency, debt-based economy. There's a lot of answers to our problems there.
Yeah, they've seeded this movement with the Billy Grahams and the Falwell, the Jerry Falwells, who go around and create a lot of broken china as if it's important, talking about homosexuality, talking about this, talking about. getting you involved in all this palaver that has nothing to do with the main reason.